Welcome to Astrology and Crime. I'm Astrologer Val Evans. Thanks for joining me today. Today is the anniversary of the massacre of Israelis that began around 6:30 a.m. on October 7th. Hamas killed some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and took about 250 captives back to Gaza. It was the bloodiest day in Israel's history and the deadliest for Jews anywhere since the Holocaust. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. We've got some charts. I'm not going to do cards tonight, just some charts that reflects that day back in 2023. Thank you, Kathy, for doing that. I look forward to talking with you. Thank you, Angel and Buckeye Clay Fan, for being here to moderate. This would be the prediction for one of the victims. She was able to escape. On the rising sign is Aquarius. So there would be some surprises for her, which would be the mark of Aquarius here, which rules the chart. I don't even know how to describe it. Uranus would show a huge shock, and you could see Black Moon Lilith, of course, in there, which would represent Leo types of energy. Now, Leo would have to do with fun. It would have to do with a festival. It would have to do with a holiday, which it was. It would be evil on a holiday, I guess you could see from this chart. That's part of this T-square. We would really refer back to Uranus to kind of give the flavor of what her year would be like. And I'm sure going up to October, there would be some nice times. There would be, because you could see the blue lines there, things are exciting. This girl's from New York. Her parents are from Israel. She's going to go to Israel for a wedding, for her friend's wedding. So lots of excitement there. The 11th house is in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius represents weddings and basically something religious, because what is a wedding? It's a religious ceremony. So Sagittarius would make sense. And so we would look at where Jupiter is. And Jupiter is right here. Jupiter is in Aries. When Jupiter's in Aries and poorly aspected, which it is, can show an extreme amount of anger, but it also represents many different people who could be militants. It's interesting, you're seeing a very, very strong concentration of planets. Taurus are the Jews, so it would be a Jewish shock on a Jewish holiday. Also, the ninth house is the ninth house of travel. So it being in Scorpio shows that there would be a long distance trip, but Pluto, this trip would be very, very, very famous. Not only would it be famous because of the actual act itself and would make worldwide headlines. Of course, the moon is fame. Pluto is extreme, so an extreme amount of fame, extreme amount of shock. She would also become famous because she would tell her story. She would end up telling her story. So there it is, Aquarius. Often with Aquarius, when Uranus is not behaving properly, like if there are red lines through Uranus, which there are here, if it were, let's say you weren't going to an event that was long distance, it might represent certain things that you weren't expecting. 2 years ago, I had this on my ascendant. I had Aquarius as my rising sign. I've never seen this in my life. I mean, it was wild. It was wacky. But both of my parents fell. Each fell twice in that year. It was a complete shock. Like, what is going on? It can represent falls. And that's what she, unfortunately, this victim would be seeing. She would be seeing a lot of people falling in front of her and behind her. This is an interesting planet right here. It is Mars in Cancer. Usually gets a bad rap because it shows abusive acts. It shows generally saying nasty, terrible things. And it's very difficult. Mars in Cancer, it's like having a war fighter in the living room, just being abusive to everybody who the person shouldn't be abusive to. But in this case, in Cancer, Cancer is the help astrology sign, and help is what this man did. So this man, which would be Mars, this man is helping the victim. And so you can see that because of a little blue line. We like the blue lines. And so out of the blue, without any warning, as this girl was running for her life and seeing everyone killed around her, this man appeared randomly, which would be this little sextile to Uranus. And he was in a white truck. So Cancer represents white, Mars represents vehicle, and he rescues her and takes her to the other town, and then he turns around and goes back and gets more people. She never found out what his name was. So there are things when havoc is taking place in the middle of your chart, these blue lines are going to show who's going to help you. And she was lucky enough to have some that were paramount to her survival. Is there anything I wanted else to talk about here? I think there was a bunch of stuff. Got a couple of T-squares. And again, this is the victim's solar return chart. And so Uranus is down here. What's interesting is we have a lot of Jewish people here, and right outside, because the placement of the planets are important spatially, and we have warriors here. We have people with guns that are at 6:30. I mean, this wasn't the crime chart, but it was right outside of this group of people. So coming in. Also, keep in mind that Aquarius represents bombs. So people were hiding in bomb shelters. And it also represents things up high. So we were going to see all those images of the paragliders in the air. So famous paragliders. So we would see that in her chart in that T-square there. So you could see all of these people, and Pluto also represents, when squared, can represent a murder. Not always. I mean, we are going to have Pluto squares in our solar return chart, but this is pretty strong because of not just the planets like Uranus, but also the stellium, all of those planets there. I know that's true. He could be an archangel. Mars in Cancer. Man, yes. You struggle with the tragedy versus Gaza and what's happening there. I know it's hard. If you are interested in a reading, I've got some new readings. And I also have a basic astrology class coming up. I've got 2 different times. So definitely check that out. That's on the 15th and the 18th. So if you're a first time client, this is the time to get a reading because I've got a nice discount. We had a T-square here, which is, I mean, this is as big a shock. This is a famous shock, biggest that you could ever think of. I mean, people can't even imagine. It's just something out of a horror movie, something that maybe Hollywood would create. We've got a T-square there. We've got a T-square here. Jupiter is representing the friend in this girl's case. And her friend, you can tell, is absolutely outraged about something. Like if you're looking at this in May or June, you'd see that there's something happening here. Why is this female so angry? So you knew that something around the friend was going to happen. Also, 11th house is social media. So all of this would be on social media. And not only would it be on social media, but it would be elevated because of the North Node. There would be a lot of people angry about what had happened. It's very interesting. The vertex. The vertex shows your fate, if you can make it through. And if you are in an extremely aggressive, this reminds me of Donald Trump when there was an assassination attempt on him. Vertex was in a trine to a T-square through Gemini for him. So fate was on his side. In this chart, fate is on her side. The vertex is making a good aspect. Another thing we like to look at is part of fortune. Part of fortune is something that is very benefic. That is also going to be trining Pluto and the moon. So it's going to show that the victim is going to have some kind of success in perhaps escaping. And again, Uranus being connected to this man who helped, this shows he helped her, Uranus, to escape. It was October, so if this is correctly rectified, the moon was going to activate in October. She would be in a foreign land. 12th house and 9th house, foreign land. Not a good idea to be in the foreign land because of that T-square. 2. There's 1 and then there's 2. There's mental illness here. There's that Pisces that comes in, but also I'm not sure if there was drugs, but it was a music festival, so maybe that's what I'm seeing here with Neptune. Music at night, from the night to the day, that would be Pisces. So they were hanging out late, late, late at night. So much Pisces there. Yeah, you can see this is also an attacker, the Mars there. And there is a trine to Neptune. They were able to find people who were hiding, which would be Neptune. They were able to come in a disguise, in a sense. Also, the music disguised the loud sounds of the weapons. It worked in their favor. The music worked in the attacker's favor. This is the supernova crime chart. This is going to be the profile of the victim. So ascendant is the victim, and then the descendant is the perpetrator. So it makes sense. Libra represents music festival. That's how it's identified. And it also represents politicians, politics. You've got 2 malefics in there. Mars is angry politicians, something that is making the politicians mad. South Node is the despair of the politicians. It's poorly aspected with the moon. The politicians can't help. The diplomats can't help. Musicians or the people listening to music they can't be helped. And here are the perpetrators in Aries. They're fighters. These are people who have had wounds in the past, many wounds, but they also, in order for their own, I guess, healing, they need to commit this horrendous crime. Aries, of course, is probably anybody carrying a gun that day. I'm not going to identify who it is. We have, in the 11th house, we have friendships and friends. And we have females here, females, and some of them were able to escape because you can see the nice blue line to Heart of Fortune. This is being able to escape and take cover. And there are some others here too who were not killed, but they were taken. They were also especially females, were taken as prisoners. These people, they go that way. Hamas headquarters. What does Venus and Black Moon Lilith represent? These are kind of like, these are girls with a lot of hair. Maybe some of them are blonde and having a Leo quality, girls who are having fun. And the Black Moon Lilith is kind of like the sexy girls. They're doing their dancing and they're listening to music right here. Some of them perished because of this red line to Saturn. And it's almost like they disappeared. That's the Pisces, is appear, disappear, a good many of them. And so there's the North Node, which shows taking somebody captive in the 7th house there. The 7th house is the gains of the perpetrator. Taurus represents the neck. It represents Jewish people. There are some you can see that are able to survive because of the blue lines. Again, we want to look at the blue, but many, many disappear because of the little octile there to Neptune. What's really strange right now is that we are seeing so many pictures and tales or stories that are reminiscent of World War II. We're feeling the same horror that the people did back in the 40s, 30s and 40s of what happened with, the Holocaust. And there's a lot of Holocaust references with this crime. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Venus, which rules this chart, and it's going to be up here. This is the chart ruler, and it has all to do with females. The moon was in Cancer that day, but the moon loves to be in Cancer, but it has to be well aspected to really do its job, to really help others, to be a good energy in the sky. But here there was the abusive square to Mars. So this is extreme, extreme abuse. So, at the festival. Let's see. Mercury are the witnesses. And wow, look at this. trine to Pluto. It's a lot of witnesses. That's hundreds, it seems, of witnesses because of the Pluto there, Pluto trine. And they're talking a lot. They're obsessed with talking, it almost seems like, which anybody would be, about what had happened. Now, of course, there are still hostages from that day that we're still trying to negotiate. And so it's really all about the politicians. This is going to be a big event that would continue to be spoken about worldwide. This started today. This is the October 2025 solar return chart for the crime chart. And it is not good. You can see that it's a terrible opposition. And you've got Saturn, Moon, Neptune there. I mean, with Neptune there, that almost seems like chemicals. It's almost like we're watching a movie but yet living it from the 40s. So there is a big war here. Obviously, the war has already started. Oh my God, Pluto, along with all of this, it's a lot of people. That's a lot of death. Sorry to say it, but it is a lot of death. The one good thing going for this chart is this grand trine. Interesting how Venus is over here. It is a continuing war that affects a lot of females. So it's strange how the Supernova Festival had so much female energy. And again, this same chart has that energy. Obviously, Uranus and Pluto are going to represent a lot of bombs. So it's a bombing campaign, basically. And if you wanted to see how the politicians are doing, not so well. It's not really good because of Mercury in politics. People are like, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't make any difference. It does look like one politician. One politician is successful in this year. It's at 2 degrees Libra, and the politician is on social media, which is the 11th house. This actually could be Trump, but because of the second house, it does show that the incentive. So there's somebody is making money off of what's going to be happening in the next 12 months here from today until next October. And it looks as if the internet will be seeing it. So I don't know how well that's going to go, but we're going to have to see. Now, there's another thing too. It looks, this actually could be a rescue. That could be a rescue because of Uranus as part of it. It's an escape. So we might be looking at an escape here of some of the hostages, and some of this death here. This is revenge for the bad guys. And that's going to be, this is in secret. It could be October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Could be around the May timeframe where some people are getting their just dessert for the festival. So, and there's a lot of them because of Jupiter. You can see Jupiter trining. These are a lot of nefarious people. And yeah, it's hard to say though, because the problem with this is that it's almost like more nefarious people are coming out because of the war. It is obviously affecting everyone's mindset and incentivizing people. So, but the moon in Aries squaring Black Moon Lilith. This is pretty evil to the evil people, I think. It's abusive. It's capturing the bad guys and terrorizing them, I think. We might see that in the next 12 months. I'm going to let you guys go. Talk to you guys soon.